Hello and welcome back. Hopefully you now have a much clearer story. You hopefully know your beginning, middle and end. And your idea is going to keep developing with these next few episodes. Firstly, this episode is going to look at what we call film language. So this is about how we shoot what we do with the camera and with our visuals. First of all, some of you may have done some filmmaking before. So some of these elements you may already know. What I'm going to talk about first of all is shot sizes. So forgive me if I'm repeating anything that you do know. And for those of you who have never made a film, this will open your eyes to how we frame and compose the different sizes of shots. One of the key decisions as a director and as a filmmaker is thinking about where we place the camera. And with that is what kind of shot size do we use? So for example, if we had a character who felt very lonely, very isolated, there's different ways that we could show this. Could we show it through an extreme close-up so that we're made to feel their pain, we're made to feel very close to them? Or is it a better decision to show them in a wide shot where we hardly see them and they're a tiny figure consumed by their environment? Now, there's no right or wrong here. It's a decision that you make. But both those shots have very different feelings. As I kind of said, the extreme close-up or a close-up might draw us closer to the subject, whereas a wide may distance us. What you need to decide as a filmmaker and as a director is, what are you saying? What is the emotion behind the shot? And that's why it's really good to look at our story. How do we want our audience to feel about our character? And when you know that answer, then that is what shot size you need to use. So for those that have never looked into shot sizes, the first task I want you to do is to go online and research. And you will notice there's things like an extreme close-up, a medium close-up, to a wide shot. And it's really good to understand these shots. So if you have done filmmaking before, maybe it's good to scratch up on these and go back over and look them up. If you've never made a film before, your task now is to look up different shot sizes, from a close-up all the way through to a wide. Research those and learn them. One of the biggest things to talk about with film language is about how you shoot a scene. Now, most scenes, when you watch TV and films, they're shot in what is called coverage. Coverage means it covers the entire scene. So for example, if you've got two people talking, you usually cover that in a wide shot so you can see both the characters. And then you'll move the camera in and you'll cover one actor's dialogue, and then you'll move the camera the other way and cover the other actor's dialogue. And between those two close-ups and that wide shot, that whole scene can be cut together, and that's known as good coverage. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. And like I say, 99% of TV, films that you watch, use coverage. Now with us, with our short film idea, I purposely said, don't use too much or try to use no dialogue at all. Because we don't want this to be theatre. We don't want to just shoot coverage and follow actors talking. Instead, we want to be much more creative with our shots. The examples I used earlier about a close-up and a wide, how they both have very different meaning, that's what I want you to think about. Think about the shape of your story. What happens? How do you want the audience to feel? Then you will know what type of shots to use. So we want to keep away from just shooting coverage, and we want our shots to tell a story, to make us feel a certain way. Now I'm going to cover more of this in the next episode, which is almost like a part B to film language. But before we get onto that, the next task I want you to do is I want you to think about the two most important shots of your entire film. And it's the opening shot and it's the closing shot. It's much like a novel. When you read a book, the opening sentence and the closing sentence are pivotal. They kind of give away the most meaning. They anchor the piece. Often they're metaphors. So let me give you a good example. There's a famous Western called The Wild Bunch, which is about a bunch of outlaws pursued by the army, and ultimately they get taken over and have to fight them. Now, the opening shot of that film, The Wild Bunch, is kids playing, and they're playing with a Scorpio that's being eaten by lots of ants. Now, that shot, the Scorpio and the lots of ants, is a metaphor, i.e. it is telling us what happens in the story. So that opening shot is very, very powerful. What I want you to do, as I said, is look at your story, and I want you to think of your opening shot and your end shot. That's all you need to do before you watch the next episode. But be really creative, be really visual. Don't just think about how you shoot characters. Think about how your visuals tell the story. Whatever your opening shot, sometimes the closing shot is similar, or almost answers what the opening shot is. But your task is to research your shot sizes, if you've not done that already. And then the second task is I want you to plan your opening and closing shot. Really think about them. Then tune into the next episode where we will continue talking about film language.